Every year I spend at least 1 week in the Grand Canyon. Sometimes alone, sometimes with a small group. I do not take a briefcase, I do not take a laptop, I do not take a cell phone, I just take the basic essentials that I need. I'm Joe Tye, CEO of Values Coach, and your coach for this course on the 12 Core Action Values. Today we're covering the Reflection Cornerstone, number 4 of Core Action Value number 3, Awareness. And I am joined by Larry the Motivational Bird. Now, if you follow my blog, you may recall that I wrote about Larry the Motivational Bird, had a video about him. And Larry, this is not about you, so hush. Larry is a great metaphor for reflection, I think, for two reasons. One is he's always happy, and two is his needs are very simple. And when you get right down to it, isn't that a pretty good definition for a pretty good life? Making your needs simple and always being happy. He's always singing. I believe it was Socrates who said the unexamined life is not worth living. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know this. The reflected upon life is a lot more worth living than the life conducted on autopilot. Now, in the workbook, I talk about the yin and yang of soul and ego. You know, soul is the quiet, soft, unimposing voice, and ego is the big, loud, brassy voice. Ego wants things, soul wants relationships. Ego wants to have friends, soul wants to be a friend. Ego wants to make money, soul wants to make a difference. And we all have this, can you be quiet? We all have this sort of inner tension that's always ongoing between us. And taking the time, whether it's in the Grand Canyon or for a walk around the block, taking the time to think about what really matters, to reflect upon your life, your goals, your actions, is a great investment in helping you become authentic, core action value number 1, become the person you're meant to be. Now, I was reading something earlier, and I actually quoted it in one of the newsletters this week, and that is that the world has a conspiracy of noise. And think about it, it's almost impossible, other than in the Grand Canyon or the mountains, it's almost impossible to find a place that is not contaminated by noise. On the other hand, you go into the Grand Canyon and there's all the noise, you can take all the noise you want, and there's plenty to leave behind for everybody else. And finding a place for silence and for solitude, I believe, is an essential element of being a creative person. It's an essential element of renewal and of reflection. Now, one of my favorite books about the Grand Canyon is Colin Fletcher's book, The Man Who Walked Through Time. Fletcher was the first man who walked end to end across Grand Canyon National Park at one go. It took him about 60 days. And you know, when you're in the Grand Canyon, it is so overwhelming. It is vast beyond comprehension. Everywhere you look, you're just seeing a small part of the overall canyon, and it's still overwhelming in its immensity. And in terms of time, you can actually see in the levels of the Grand Canyon the hundreds of millions of years that it took to create this incredible canyon that was carved out over a period of 5 million years. And what Fletcher said about that overwhelmingness is this, and it has to do with reflection. He said, before you can appreciate your significance as a human being, you must first acknowledge and accept your insignificance in the overall cosmos. And to me, that's one of the benefits of reflection, is that you accept you're not the center of the universe, you're not the point of everything, but then you can appreciate what your significance really is. Now, one of the most powerful tools for reflection is writing in a journal. Stephen Covey, in the 7 Habits, called writing in a journal an activity that is not urgent but is important. And you know, those are the activities that most often get pushed off the plate as we do the things that are urgent, whether they're important or not. And sometimes it gets pushed off by the things that are not urgent and are not important, like watching TV. But I'm going to challenge you to write in your journal for a while, and I'm going to give you a structure for doing that, and that is the DDQ. Remember the DDQ, direction, deflection, question? Is what I'm about to do or say going to help me be my best self? Is what I'm about to do or say going to help me manage my time, my money, my career in accordance with being my best self? And if you write in a journal, who is my best self? How did I do today on being my best self along the dimensions that are important to you? Career, finance, time management, relationships, whatever. If you do that for a month or so, it's going to give you an incredible insight into who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. That's core action value awareness, number 3. And we've covered, I gave you a quick introduction, we've covered mindfulness, being here now. We've covered objectivity, seeing the world as it really is, not as it used to be, as you wish it were, as you fear it might become. We've covered empathy, what Daniel Goleman calls social radar, the ability to really put yourself in the shoes of somebody else. Now take some time over this coming weekend to reflect back upon who you are, what you're doing, where you're going. If you have a little bird on your shoulder, might help you ask the right questions. I'm Joe Tye. I'll see you when we move into our next core value. For now, keep living your values.